You are the hero of this tale. You are on YouTube.com. On the front page is a 3-hour-long video. The thumbnail depicts a bald eagle shedding a single crystalline tear. In the background is a screenshot of a children's cartoon with a red circle around the word woke in bold red Arial rounded. You watch the video. The entire production is a man in his car openly weeping, speaking off the cuff about the fall of Western civilization, of which the hallmarks are, in his words, philosophy and Marvel movies and shit. You exit the video. Your front page is now entirely thumbnails of weeping bald eagles and red-faced men in their 30s. You click not interested in channel, but like the Hydra of myth, for every one you ignore, 5 take its place. You begin to feel crushing dread.
But Marcus Scribner, our friend from Blackish, here with his friend Noelle Stevenson from She-Ra and the Princess of Power, with season 2 of Netflix. It's all going so well. So when you're shooting Blackish on the Disney lot and you want to go up to that secret Marvel floor, what happens?
We get immediately kicked out. Marvel is not for us basic Disney employees / ABC employees.
Even if you're annoyed by wokeness, you are afraid of being called it. On some level, you understand that woke is a word that means bad, and even if you don't agree, you still feel like you don't want to challenge the shrieking banshees who are complaining about it online. So you simply click not interested, like an exhausted housewife answering telemarketer calls. Remember cringe compilations? The anti-woke crowd won't let you forget about them. Remember Trigglypuff? You remember Trigglypuff. Her face is totally inescapable. It's in memes to this day. Trigglypuff is crazy, right? She's just a fat, psychotic SJW, right? Not that you think all of those things about her. Not that you would ever call her a psycho. Maybe for old time's sake, let's pull up the Trigglypuff video. Oh yeah, there it is. Whoa, howling, waving her arms. Wow, she's crazy. You haven't seen this video in a while, but you realize that you actually don't know anything about the video. Who is Trigglypuff so angry at? The videos are all of her. They're all pointed at her. The camera's on her. They're never pointed at the person who's on the stage that she's protesting. So you go to Google, while Google still actually works, and you manage to find an answer. Campus reform. Who the hell is campus reform? What a vague name. It sounds like a front for some scam that Tony Soprano would set up. So you check the campus reform website. Why not? It's probably not that bad. Let's see here. It says, campus reform exposes leftist bias and abuse on the nation's college campuses. Our team of professional journalists works alongside student activists and student journalists to report on the conduct and misconduct of campus administrators, faculty, and students. What the fuck? It's like a fucking partisan surveillance network. And who's in charge of this thing? Morton Blackwell? Wait a minute, he's from the Leadership Institute. I know that. One of the groups on the advisory board for Project 2025. You hate Project 2025. It's gonna make abortion illegal and shit. Makes your girlfriend mad. So you close the tabs, and you look back at the video of Trigglypuff. She's protesting a partisan surveillance network headed by one of the guys who would go on to actively try to ruin the country. You feel a little stupid now. On a second glance, she looks, I don't know, fine. She looks normal. She looks like anyone. She could be a customer at your work or one of your sister's friends or just someone you pass on the street without thinking about that much. You start to feel like someone tricked you. Wokeness is treated like the final boss of civilization by the people actively ruining civilization. A secret government fungus that's going to turn you into one of the fucking clickers from The Last of Us if you listen to the wrong films or something. But what if the world's most overused insult is actually just people trying to make life suck a little less for people around them? Being woke is a stolen shorthand from American black communities, which originally was used in the phrase stay woke, which is heard in Childish Gambino's song Redbone. Being woke or awake or aware as opposed to someone being asleep, ignorant. Being awake as shorthand for being aware of yourself goes even further back, in esoteric circles, as a metaphor for staying awake to reality instead of the false realities that are imposed upon you. Being aware of injustice, empathizing with others, being aware of the social mechanisms of society, these are all great things, good things, right? And they're being stigmatized on purpose. Media that is called woke is actually the best media that there is usually. Films like Get Out, Brokeback Mountain, I Saw the TV Glow, even recent stuff like I Love Boosters. All of these movies are great. Legally Blonde, Rocky Horror, whatever example you want to have. Even crowd-pleasing films like the recent Nolan's Odyssey, even those are called woke. But you like these movies, don't you? You like them. They're good. There's nothing wrong with them. I can't make this choice for you. You can either take the black pill, wake up in your bed, watch as many cringe compilations as you want, and have your sense of superiority nice and intact. Or you can take the pill stamped with a B, and you can come with me through the looking glass. There's someone there who wants to meet you. Someone there who's very beautiful.
I was like doing my deep dive into like classic She-Ra, and I was like, this is a gay ass show. Yeah. It's gay. There's Bo, Chippendale's Bo, there's a rainbow, there's like Bo and He-Man riding a horse together. Here's Spinnerella, she's spinning. Here's like Spinnerella and Natasha, who like kind of are married in the original show. And the more I got into it, it's like, this was not a mistake. Apparently, Filmation was like the gayest place in animation at the time. Yeah. And Erica Scheimer, the daughter of Lou Scheimer, the creator of all of it, she's a lesbian, and she voiced a bunch of the characters herself. And so it's like, this was always there. The fingerprints of queerness are all over this show.
I am going to be your Virgil, and we are going to descend into the rings of wokeness together. I will not lead you astray, I promise. What's the most woke thing they ever made? Steven Universe, Adventure Time, they both had an on-screen lesbian kiss. That's pretty woke. That's a good place to start. So did Legend of Korra. This is a great place to start, but it's not nearly woke enough. If you're going full woke, we gotta tick some boxes here. We gotta find a lot of homosexual couples, preferably outnumbering the heterosexual ones. We gotta have a queer showrunner. That's a great start. And ideally, we're gonna have to have a lot of people of color. Coming out the wazoo. It also has to be earnest. No Rick and Morty self-awareness, none of that bullshit. We gotta have something that is completely 100% unironic, okay? It's gotta have rainbows bursting out the seams. If you gotta go full woke, we're going to need to shock your system, okay? In 2018, She-Ra and the Princess of Power was created by ND Stevenson, the writer of then webcomic Nimona, and known element in the queer community. The show, ostensibly for kids, is a retelling of the story of She-Ra, also known as Girl He-Man, starring in a 1980s Filmation show which was made to sell toys for children. Oh yeah, this is great. This got everything. The lead, Adora, is this raging jock lesbian, and her sidekicks are Glimmer and Bo, one of which is a pear-shaped bossy woman, and the other is a black guy with hearts on his chest. This is good. This is woke, folks. This is really good. The show's plot surrounds Adora, who defects from the Evil Horde and gets into this fantasy opera to reunite with her friend-turned-enemy Catra, who is the cis white guy's right-hand man. The fantasy opera stuff, though, is just kind of a Trojan horse. The show is less about that and more about the interpersonal drama between consummate jock Adora and her theater kid girlfriend and Vriska stand-in, Catra. Oh yeah, this is good. We're getting woker. I'm starting to woke out. But first we need the final ingredient. Having something be woke isn't enough, because checking boxes can be done by any corporation who wants to sell to the Alphabet Brigade. We've seen this a million times. High Guardian Spice, Voltron, and RuPaul's Drag Race. No, we need the most important ingredient. The show has gotta be actually good. I got great news, sports fans. You can bet your sweetest, creamiest bippy that this shit is peak. But wait, She-Ra was taken off Netflix in February. How are you going to watch it? To be woke, we have to watch our shows in a woke way. I know it's a faux pas to actually come out and say you should pirate a show on YouTube, like you're supposed to self-censor the fact that it's the easiest way to watch anything these days, but I'm trying to break new ground here. I'm not going to tell you how to steal it in case I eventually cross Jeffrey Katzenberg and he sues me or something, but Google still exists for now, so use that to figure it out. Hey, this should be great news for you. It means your next binge watch is free! Now, even though I do want you to watch it, I'm going to discuss some of the plot points. I'm going to do this because I don't actually give a fuck about spoilers. You're an adult, presumably. You can enjoy a piece of media that you know some of the plot points to. Don't be a baby. I'll spare you from some of the more significant spoilers, so please don't worry. Here's the basics. In an ancient time, a hero known as She-Ra sealed the planet of Etheria in a pocket dimension with nothing else in it. 1,000 years later, a sword selects Adora, King Arthur style, to be the new She-Ra in order to bring peace to Etheria. There are a few confounding details, though, namely that Adora is part of the Evil Horde, an evil horde of people who want to destroy the planet. Adora defects from the Horde and leaves behind her best buddy Catra and joins up with Glimmer and Bow. The team then goes on to reform the Princess Alliance to bring together the world in a single force against the Evil Horde. After a few seasons of back and forth with the Horde, Hordak makes a portal that, among other things, sends a message back to his big brother Horde Prime, and She-Ra brings Etheria out of the Pocket Dimension. This opens up the show to a new, bigger antagonist. Like I said, this is the broad strokes, but inside this fantasy epic lies a small number of vivid characters who emerge and go on narrative arcs all their own. Even Hordak, leader of the Evil Horde, gets some fascinating characterization and ends up being kind of sympathetic in the end. But is She-Ra actually woke? And more importantly, is She-Ra actually good? After all, DreamWorks' previous Netflix show, Voltron, was kind of contentious, to say the least. It was kind of a flop in spite of its ardent fan base. Is She-Ra another flop? Or do we have a woke gem on our hands?
But it's actually really interesting working with like a female executive producer, and unfortunately it's just like not the norm to do that, and they kind of like, on the whole, my experience with Noelle and everybody else has been like they have entrusted you with the job and they trust you to do the job, and that's really super fun. You're creating the environment that I'm sure you want to have too. Yeah.
My pupil, let us do a little warm-up exercise. Woke analysis is like normal analysis, but involving woke topics, involving an awareness of power structures and intersectional queer theory. But let's start you off easy, pupil. No need to start with some complicated books. Let's simply examine She-Ra from the lens of anarchist power structures. Don't be afraid. We're in this together. Hey, what's up? I'm the McLovin of funk, the bard of the jams and your #1 hunk. I'm here cooking tracks on a hand-me-down blender, but my work's got bars like a 5-star vendor. Click the cursor, support the artist. Every little boost keeps the whole thing started. From my notebook to your ears, I'm topping the charts if you keep my engine alive with your digital hearts. The Patreon page is my backstage pass, sermons and sneak peeks, freestyling like jazz and Bandcamp is where the sound compounds. Underground frequencies are heavily profound. No corporation, I'm my own sponsor. No bullshit email autoresponder. So if you fuck with my strange wordplay, give me some dollars to help me keep the wolves away. This is Catra. We're not going to talk about her yet. Your power level isn't high enough for that. Instead, let's talk about the other 3 antagonists of the show. She-Ra, like its Filmation predecessor, has a revolving door of colorful bad guys with personal problems. If you hired a therapist for the Horde, you'd basically need a second Horde from how fucked up these people are. But the most fucked up are the big bads. First, you have Evil's middle manager, Shadow Weaver, then regional manager Hordak, and finally, CEO of fascism himself, Horde Prime. Let's discuss them in order. Shadow Weaver is Catra and Adora's adoptive mother and the primary villain of Season 1. On paper, she's Hordak's second in command, but she clearly has schemes and machinations of her own, a master manipulator, a real gatekeep, gaslight girl boss type. An emotional terrorist who can't keep herself from telling lies and withholding information, casting spells like Need Therapist Forever instead of things like Fireball. During Season 1, Adora barely knows who she is, and feels a sense of unease from being lied to all her life about the Horde. Shadow Weaver is a symbol of that complexity. She's clearly a bad person, but she's also mommy. A personification of abusive authority, insisting obedience while being disobedient, independence as betrayal, and selectively administering her own motherly affection. If Shadow Weaver is mommy, and Catra and Adora are her daughters, she has a clear favorite. Catra gets the short end of the witch's staff every time, and when Adora leaves, Catra has no one to protect her against Shadow Weaver's abuse. The safety net, shaped like a blonde jock, vanishes, and Catra is forced to sink or swim in the corporate hierarchy. By the end of Season 1, Shadow Weaver has worn Hordak's patience thin, and Catra usurps her own mom. But something strange happens to Shadow Weaver when she gets tossed in jail to rot. She doesn't outwardly change, but when her power gets taken away, she actually becomes kind of sympathetic. Like, look at her. Look at her, she's so sad. She's so sad in jail. Season 1 builds up Hordak like Darth Vader, a larger-than-life figure who appears to berate people when they fuck up. If Shadow Weaver is mommy, he is daddy. And his presence is very intimidating. Well, until you actually hear him say a line other than, "I do not tolerate disappointment," or "Get out." During seasons 2 and 3, Hordak and Catra interact less like daddy and daughter, and more like a fail son and his fucking babysitter. Catra realizes she's in the same position as Shadow Weaver, including and especially getting yelled at by an emotionally disengaged moron. But just like Shadow Weaver, something interesting happens. During Season 5, Hordak manages to get a message to his big brother, Horde Prime, and Hordak is unceremoniously turned from galactic dictator to submissive little maid. Again, when his power is taken away, we sympathize with him. When his power gets taken away, we feel better for him. So Horde Prime is, imagine that the Empire from Star Wars, a New Age cult, and like a pyramid scheme were all rolled into one guy. He makes clones of himself to construct his army, which is already very egotistical and weird, but there's a lot of other shit that's weird there. His thing is basically conformity, right? If you don't conform even a little tiny bit, he kills you. I'm glad that never happens in real life. Notice how power in She-Ra always flows in one direction. Prime controls Hordak, who controls Shadow Weaver and Catra. Power can be taken and given by increasingly higher powers, and when power is taken, the individual doing evil stops being evil. In She-Ra, evil is attached to the characters, and everyone passes the buck downhill like some kind of horrifying evil apprenticeship program. Power reproduces itself. Victims become oppressors. It's the only model that's available to them. Every rung of the hierarchy justifies the one above it while brutalizing the one below it. Fascism locates evil at the bottom of society. It claims that your suffering is caused by outsiders, minorities, queers, enemies from below. Every American immigrant community has faced this. Black people face this due to slavery. Yesterday it was Italians and the Irish, today it's the Mexicans, today and yesterday it's black people. The point of this scapegoating isn't truth, it's blaming people at the bottom, exonerating people on the top. To the people who actually wield power, this is very useful. In other words, who's causing your problems? Who's actually causing your problems? Trigglypuff or the fuckhead who wrote Project 2025? That's what She-Ra shows. The person most capable of reshaping your life isn't someone struggling to survive like you. It's someone with the authority to write laws, command institutions, control resources, and kill people. Horde Prime is the end point. He's power centralized, power that can't be stripped away, and it can for Shadow Weaver and Hordak. I'm not going to spoil Horde Prime's fate here, but She-Ra is very direct about what should happen to a dictator like this, to someone who is on the top of society. At the very least, it says, fight back.
You know, how did you get through being told you can't do this? You know, you can't change what I grew up with. You know, you can't do that. You know, how do you?
I think for us, you know, we believe so much in this show that there was sort of two sides to this. There's the people who sort of they were angry and they were mean, but you could sort of tell that they didn't have that love for the original show. And they sort of were like, they were aware of it somewhat, but they were mostly just angry that, you know, we changed it at all, whether or not that they had that past with it. But then there were the people who did have the past. And I noticed something when I was kind of looking at those people, even when they were angry and when they were scared of what we were going to do, I could tell that they still cared a lot, and that a lot of them seemed like they wanted to give it a chance.
So, here's some context for people who didn't watch the show when it was coming out. Catra and Adora, until the very end, are not confirmed to be a couple, like explicitly. So keep that in mind while I talk about their relationship in this section. You've seen gay people in movies, right? Gay people in movies has become a big topic for about 10 years now. It's something you can't really avoid. Remember the gay troll from that Disney movie or the gay guy in Avengers Endgame? Gay people in movies is one of the wokest things you can have, but there is some nuance that we have to tackle before we discuss Catra and Adora. A central question. Is this pandering? Gay pandering happens when capitalism realizes that it can sell things to gay people but still doesn't have to alienate anyone. This occurs because gay people and bigots both have money. which can be extracted from them. This could also be called tokenism, and used to be practiced when a TV show or film had one token black character, for instance. Tokenism is representation that is glued onto a work for the sake of boardroom executives. It's a participation trophy for whatever race or ethnicity or whatever that they want to include in their work. Even works like The Legend of Korra could be considered tokenism because the lesbian kiss isn't actually allowed until someone higher up allows it to happen. There was pressure to prevent Korra and Asami from being actively gay, right? She-Ra is the polar opposite of this. Catadora isn't just a smooch tacked onto the end of a show because the showrunner finally begged hard enough. It's the central conceit of the entire series. It's more important than Horde Prime. Every major decision that is made by Adora revolves around how she feels about Catra. The main conflict of She-Ra isn't whether or not the bad guy will win or not. It's a kid's show. He's gonna lose. It's whether Catra and Adora can finally become close again. If Catra can finally admit Adora never wanted to leave. Neither of them are capable of moving on, and in Season 4, when Adora finally gets sick of Catra's shit enough to stop treating her like a friend, this development is treated like the lowest, most dire moment in the entire series. The way people use woke is very broad, right? It can mean anything, from a show having like a black guy to the women not being hot enough in a video game. Stepping outside of this very narrow band of what is considered not woke will get you, like, yelled at online, basically. So studio executives try to minimize the backlash. They know that these people are going to yell about it, so they try to like tone down the wokeness. But She-Ra actively blasts past that anti-woke stuff, so much so that it kind of breaks the rangefinders of these anti-woke grifter types. On the website Worth It or Woke, the review for She-Ra gives the show an F and describes it thusly. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is unapologetically the groomiest groomer to ever groom a groomer. Groomer, of course, is another word that has been devalued from its original meaning of person who coerces someone into a trust relationship to exploit them into a television show that has messages I don't like. On the website Wokeometer, the review for She-Ra Season 1 earns the show 9 of 10 wokeness points. This is... Why not 10? Why not 10 wokeness points? What's going on here? This is very funny to me. What is the one anti-woke point that the show got? I want to know. Please tell me. You know it's a good website when the blurb for the review it reads like an endorsement of it. Let me read it. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power Season 1 embeds progressive ideology deeply into its core storytelling, character designs, and relationships, transforming the original 1980s children's adventure into a vehicle for identity politics and LGBTQ+ normalization targeted at impressionable young audiences. You promise? A common refrain for She-Ra being woke is how She-Ra is a retcon of the previous He-Man Masters of the Universe cartoon to push a progressive message. I don't know if you've ever actually watched the He-Man show, if you've ever ingested the cultural artifact of the He-Man show, but my roommate is obsessed with the 80s He-Man show, and I've watched a lot of it over the past couple months, and I just have one question for the anti-woke crowd on this. Like, are you stupid? Genuinely, are you legitimately just dumb? Are you saying that He-Man isn't gay? Really? You're saying that this man-at-arms, this guy is straight? He's straight? Are you serious? Next time they're going to tell me like John Waters is gay or the Village People isn't gay. It's like, no, there's nothing queer about this. There's nothing queer about a fucking man-at-arms. No, it's ridiculous. In interviews, ND Stevenson talks about this. He talks about the original He-Man show being gay as hell and wanting to take that original gayness and turn it into something actually heartfelt.
My first impression when I was watching it was like, oh my god, this is really gay. She-Ra was an incredibly important part of the journey for me, and so what I wanted to do with She-Ra was to sort of strip away the presumptions of who these characters would be, to strip away any presumption that they would be straight or heteronormative in any way, that these characters could be almost anything. I think we wanted to explore through various other characters. There are queer plot lines. We meet new characters who are explicitly queer, who are in a relationship with each other.
He wanted to do right by the show by taking the implied homosexuality of it and turning it into something actually developed. And I think that's beautiful. She-Ra is like a show that came from an alternate dimension where no one actually cares about anti-wokeness. It treats its leads as legitimate and features numerous other gay couples in the background, like Bo's dads and Scorpia's moms. Adora and Catra experience a breadth of heartfelt, moving emotional moments. Longing, jealousy, miscommunication, self-sacrifice, years of emotional repression crystallized into a vibrant and moving on-screen romance. Two survivors finally rejecting and overcoming the worldview that kept them in shackles, that taught them that love is transactional, that shows how truly, truly difficult vulnerability is. She-Ra argues that queer people get to be the heroes. They get to be people. And that alone is enough for the people who hate it. People look at this beauty and see ugliness because they aren't strong. Not like you are now. If Adora and Catra kissing is woke, then why would anyone be anti-woke? But none of what I just said actually changes the fact that people out there are looking for the ugliness.
When I was watching the original 80s show, my mind was kind of blown. I remember I reached the final shot of the original opening title for She-Ra, and it has all of the princesses like lined up on this cliff, and Bo, like the princesses and Bo, and he's got like a crop top and a red heart on his chest, and there's a rainbow overhead, and that's their like title card of the show. We sort of pay homage to it in our title card. And I was like, this is amazing. The fact that they made this in the 80s, and like it's honestly so gay, and it features an almost entirely female cast, and like it's got unicorns and princesses and also like evil villain cyborg like bad guys. Like,
I said a lot of things about She-Ra and the anti-woke grifter crowd, but the truth is that none of this matters. None of this actually matters. It's pointless. The critics didn't watch the show. They don't care about the show. They don't fucking care about it. Before they ever wrote a review, they decided they didn't like it for very superficial reasons. So what is the point of me making this video? Not only that, but anti-wokeness is winning. The richest man in the world is the same kind of crybaby as these low-rent YouTubers whining about wokeness. What I've been trying to show you is that woke media is good. It is vibrant and beautiful. And that might be true, but it doesn't mean that people aren't repulsed by it. There's money in pandering to these people. There's joy to be found in bullying. There's a vibrant market for rage bait here on the internet. The fact that the show is good doesn't matter. Your YouTube feed is still full of angry thumbnails. I'm willing to bet you're still a little repulsed by Trigglypuff deep down. I said at the beginning that you are the hero of this tale. After looking over She-Ra like I have and giving it a chance, how do you feel? Do you feel energized? Do you feel skeptical? Do you feel excited for watching something new? What do you feel? People who are anti-woke aren't anti-woke for like no reason at all, right? It's a worldview that is incredibly attractive. It's a worldview that says, you don't need to change. You can just stay how you are. Nothing's wrong in the world. Everyone complaining is overreacting, and the real problem are the people bitching and moaning and crying and wailing. People don't accept this worldview because they're evil. They accept it because it's the only way they can bear continuing their lives. Adora rejects the Horde, but Catra doesn't. Catra accepts the Horde because it is where she feels safe, even if it isn't safe. It's where she feels like she belongs, even if she has to fight for her life to be there. Catra decides, with a sound mind and her faculties intact, that she would prefer to stay. People in your life are going to accept the status quo. They're going to reject wokeness with a sound mind and their faculties intact. They prefer to stay that way, even if you decide to move on. From the Corpus Hermeticum, O ye people, earth-born folk, ye who have given yourselves to drunkenness and sleep and ignorance of God, be sober now. Cease from your surfeit. Cease to be glamorized by irrational sleep. It's sad to say this, but people throughout history prefer ignorance. It's a sad truth, and it is one of the most foundational. Power has intoxicated these people and made all sorts of mechanisms to put the people of the world to sleep. People who wake up often find themselves alone. They feel as though they're insane, seeing She-Ra as something beautiful when people argue in droves that it is something ugly. But isn't it beautiful? Isn't it? Catra, Adora, even Shadow Weaver, and Hordak. ND Stevenson, isn't he beautiful? Isn't it worth hearing? Isn't this a story worth telling? Behind every screaming grifter, there's a human being doing something because they're angry, and winning them over might not even be possible. It's tempting to scream back at them, to lash out, to poke fun, but in the end, that's not going to work. Could Adora have saved Catra with cruelty? How does Adora save her lover in the end? Tell me, who's more powerful? A man with a gun or a man with a bulletproof vest? A woman with a sword or a woman with a shield? You've probably heard the old verse from the New Testament, turn the other cheek. People interpret this passage wrong, in my opinion. They believe it is advocating for being meek or to accept whatever punishment that is coming their way. But that's wrong. If someone slaps you, turn the other cheek so they can strike that cheek too. Become someone who is too strong to be knocked over by being struck across the face. Turn the other cheek to show them that they cannot hurt you. Maybe people are going to hate queer people forever. I don't know. Maybe they'll be racist forever. Maybe peace is just impossible. It's a dream of humanity that is destined to go totally unfulfilled. There's this moment at the end of She-Ra. Catra and Adora kiss because they don't know if they'll survive this explosion in the center of the world. They don't know if they're going to live another minute. They believe that they might die soon. And the most important and dire thing to them in that moment is not their own survival, but to kiss each other, to confess their love. I'm not going to tell you if they survived or not if you haven't seen the show. But I am going to tell you that they do kiss. They're in love. You are the hero of this story. And I'm sure that you understand what I'm trying to tell you by now.
The series has now come to a close, and I want to start by talking about you. You've had 5 seasons, a completed story arc. How are you feeling now that it's all over?
I'm having a lot of feelings now being at the end, a lot of just kind of like mixed emotions, because it is really cool. It's like, you know, I've been keeping aspects of this show a secret for the last 5 years, and to finally get to be able to just like have it all out there and for it to no longer be a secret, I'm really, really excited about that part. But it's also like, you know, saying goodbye to characters that I have sort of come to think of as my friends. It's both exciting, but it's also sad. It's very bittersweet and a lot of fun.
So here we are at the end of the video, and I just want to take a second to talk about something that personally is like a fucking travesty, which is, I'm going to flash some images on the screen here of the She-Ra show's merchandise and how fucking god-awful it was. The way that they depict some of these characters in the merchandise is legitimately criminal. I think they should be killed over this. Like, He-Man is a show about toys. And the fact that they fucked up the toys for the She-Ra show is like, you have no excuse. You're going straight to hell. You suck. No more. They shouldn't have been allowed to do this. Look at how bad Bo looks. Look at how bad Glimmer looks. This sucks, man. This fucking sucks. This sucks ass. Get it out of here.